Hi, it's Hope and welcome to the video. This is going to be my spring, what is it called? This is going to be my Spring into Reading Athon TBR. So essentially this is a week-long readathon here in the month of March to kind of essentially, I guess, celebrate spring. So the dates for this readathon are March 15th through March 21st, and I will leave the announcement video that I personally watched, which is on Melanie from Completely Melanie's channel. You should definitely go check out her video, as well as the other co-hosts' videos, but again, where I first watched this was on Melanie's channel. So essentially I'm going to go through the prompts and what book I'm going to be reading for each prompt, and there are some prompts that I'm going to be reading like multiple books for, or I'm not 100% set on my TBR, because for example there's a book on this TBR that hasn't arrived in the mail when I'm filming this on the 10th, but it should arrive either before this like readathon starts or during. So yeah, so let's just get started with prompt number 1 is spring cleaning. Read a book that has been collecting dust on your shelves. And I have kind of like 2 books I'd like to read for this like single prompt, but I at least want to get the but why I'm saying 2 books is because I might start and read the one before this readathon starts, so then I'd read the second book, if that makes any sense, because again, it's currently the 10th, this readathon doesn't start till the 15th, and I know, and I have a feeling I'm going to finish my current book, so I might start one of these, but my goal is to get both of these read before the end of this, like, readathon. And the first book is Reboot by Amy Tintera, and the second book is the second and final book in this duology, which is Rebel. So I'm going to read the back of this book because I do not know much besides of what is on the back of the book. 5 years ago, Ren Connolly died. After 178 minutes, she came back as a reboot. Stronger, faster, able to heal, but also less emotional. The longer reboots are under, the less human they are when they return, making Ren 178 the deadliest reboot in the Republic of Texas. Now 17 years old, her favorite part of her job is training new reboots. But her latest newbie is the worst she's ever seen. As a 22, Kaylnn is practically still human. His reflexes are too slow, he's always asking pesky questions, and his ever-present smile is freaking Ren out, and yet he's still her newbie. When Kaylnn falls short of reboot standards, Ren is told to eliminate him. But the perfect soldier is done taking orders. So this is a like sci-fi / dystopian, I guess, duology, and these I have had since January of 2020. Yes, January of 2020. These are, I think, the oldest books on my shelf. I think besides only like a couple maybe, that might be like a tiny bit older, but these are like the ones that I really want to read. So again, I might start Reboot before the readathon, so if I do, then I'd read Rebel, or I'd read both, because I'm pretty sure I can read both in the week, because like the first one's only 360 some pages, and then the second one is like 330, so that's what, like, I don't know, that is like what, like maybe like 680, which like 100 pages a day. I could probably do both in the entire week. Prompt number 2, Luck of the Irish. Read a book with green on the cover, and for this I am going to be reading Chaos and Destiny by Miranda, and this is the second book in the Fae Rising trilogy, the first one being Blood and Promise. That name just got changed, that threw me for a loop. But Blood and Promise is kind of the start of like a new adult high fantasy where we follow Aura, who is a like fae, and she ends up having to like run away from home after her mother and father are murdered in their cottage, believed to be murdered by the like sea fae queen and like her group of people. I believe I haven't read this book. I read this book a few months ago, so that is a little iffy. But when Aura's like mother dies with her final breath, sends Aura on this kind of like mission, I guess. And then we also follow Tamir, who is a like lesser fae, and lesser faes in this world are kind of treated like garbage. But Tamir is lucky. He has this like healing ability, I believe it is. So that ends up getting him like to live in the palace as, I believe it's like the king's personal healer. And when Tamir ends up making a truth serum with the help of his mentor, that works on the sea fae, that could essentially put a target on his back for death. So Tamir must convince his mentor and the girl he is in love with to run away with him. And Chaos and Destiny is the second book in this series, so I cannot explain technically what happens in Chaos and Destiny, but I'm really excited to be reading this, and this is on, I believe it's on Kindle Unlimited, so I'll probably read it there. Prompt number 3, Over the Rainbow, read a classic or a retelling. I do not like classics, so I'm going to be reading a retelling. And the retelling that I'm going to be reading is Cinderella is Dead by Kaylnn Bayron, and obviously this is a kind of like Cinderella retelling. Cinderella is Dead is kind of like I think it's like a sci-fi-ish, dystopian-ish story where we're set in the world where like Cinderella happened, and we're 200 years in the future, and every year there is this ball that any eligible like female has to attend in order to try to find her prince. But our main character of, is it Sophia, something like that, I think that's the main character's name. She doesn't want this. She would rather run off and marry her best friend. So she does. And it is a like queer Cinderella retelling, and this got so much hype last year, and it still does continue to get the hype, so I'm so excited to be reading this. I was supposed to read this in February, but I didn't, so now in March for this. For prompt number 4, Women's March. Read a book with a strong female character. And well, I'm just going to assume, I'm holding it upside down, I'm going to assume that Reboot has a strong female character. Chaos and Destiny, our main character of Aura, she's a strong female character in my opinion. Cinderella is Dead, I'm assuming that our main character is going to be a strong female character. But for a book, so that I will have a book for each different prompt that I think I'll be able to read during this, and this is the one that it's like, if it comes before the readathon or during, I'll probably pick it up, and that is Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare. And Chain of Iron is the sequel to Chain of Gold, which I actually have in my drawer. I'm just gonna hold up the dust jacket of Chain of Gold, but I'd be reading Chain of Iron, which is the second book in the Last Hour series, which I'm waiting for my copy in the mail. But Chain of Gold, again, which is the first book, which is like the first book in the Last Hour series, we follow we follow Shadowhunters in 1903 Edwardian London as 2 new Shadowhunter families are moving to London, and at the same time, this mysterious, like, illness arrives around the same time, and we must try to figure out where this illness is coming from, as well as there are demon attacks and all of that. And if you really don't know what the Shadowhunter, like overall, like the Shadowhunter Chronicles are you living under a rock? But my copy of Chain of Iron, I don't know when it's going to arrive, because I ordered the like tour edition and like the Indigo tour edition, and I haven't heard any news of when it's arriving, so it could arrive during this readathon or not. If it doesn't arrive within honestly a few days, I might go to Walmart and buy myself a copy of it and just say screw it and have 2 copies, because like, why not? And the final prompt is 5 Spring Break Bash. Read the group book, which is a semi-definitive list of worst nightmares by Crystal Sutherland, or buddy read a book. And I'm not taking part of this prompt because the group book does intrigue me, but I am already so behind on my TBR, I can't add another book, and I don't have anybody to buddy read a book with. I can't think of anybody to buddy read a book with because I don't really have very many bookish friends to do so. So unless you watching hear one of these books and are like, hey, let's buddy read it, feel free to shoot me a like DM on Twitter or Instagram. My like Linktree thing is linked in the description, or my handle is the same as my like YouTube username. That would be amazing. One thing I want to try to do this year is buddy read a book with somebody. So far I haven't, but there's still many months to do so. So this is my TBR for the spring into reading. This is me not being able to speak apparently, but this is my TBR for the Spring Into Reading-a-thon. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know if you are participating, what books you're reading, because I'd love to hear it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye!